Pennsylvania Supreme Court has agreed to hear an appeal from the family of a Philadelphia woman whose 2011 stabbing was initially ruled a homicide before the medical examiner switched it to suicide after police objected. First-grade teacher Ellen Greenberg was found in her apartment with 20 stab wounds. Greenberg's parents are seeking to have the ruling changed back to homicide. The city has objected, arguing that under state law, a medical examiner can't be compelled to change a ruling even if it's wrong. Our newscast this hour is being brought to you by St. Barnabas, the perfect place for mom.
Work is a large part of your life. Why not choose a job that allows the opportunity of a fulfilling career working with people who appreciate you? St. Barnabas Health System is looking for extraordinary, service-minded people to join our team. Earn and learn with career opportunities on our clinical, housekeeping, and food service teams. For more information and to apply, visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-444-JOBS. Jobs that are apart from the ordinary. Find them at St. Barnabas Health System.
And we'll go to Lisa Marie with the weather.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
It's going to be hot, humid with lots of sunshine today. We'll see a high near 90. Mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms tonight. We'll drop down to a low around 70. Cloudy with showers and thunderstorms expected off and on through the day tomorrow. Look for a high near 85 and an overnight low of 68. Saturday we'll have rain and possible thunderstorms throughout most of the day into the evening. It'll be a bit cooler with a high near 82 and a low in the mid-60s. And lots of sunshine in the forecast for Sunday. Look for a high near 88. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Thursday, August the 1st of 2024, at 10 minutes past 9, we've got a temperature of 79 degrees and rising with sunny skies in Beaver County. That's news. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Teleforum is on the air on Beaver County Radio, 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. The show is presented by East Rochester and Tuska Shop and Saves. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
Go ahead, get the coffee going, whatever you do in the morning, because today it is going to go by quickly, very quickly. Best of Beaver County, and that is Tony Chirico, Mike Romite's guest, 11 to 11:30. And our first hour today, and it feels weird, and I'll explain why. It is Ask the Commissioners. Jack Manning is sitting here in the studio with me. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing well, Eddie. Always a pleasure to be with you.
You're so nice to open with a lie.
That's not true.
That's so nice.
I do enjoy coming here. I feel I have an obligation, not just to the radio station, but to constituents to be here every month and take advantage of the opportunity to talk to folks out in Beaver County.
Tell me the truth. When you see public representatives that don't have that attitude, I know you'd never say anything, but does that stick in your craw a little bit?
No, I truly don't even think about that.
You've
I only
learned
think
to
about what I'm doing.
Pick your battles.
And the feedback that I get, that some people may not like what I hear to say, but they appreciate me talking to them and being accessible and listening to the concerns.
Okay, if you want to pose questions to Jack Manning on Ask the Commissioners, you've got a couple options. One of them you can call 724-843-1888 or Beaver County Radio's Facebook page. This is being live streamed. You can post your questions in the comments section. I'll start. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about Heritage Valley first, or do you want to talk about Butler and the assassination attempt first? Because I got a boatload of questions about both.
Either or.
Right.
I've always said, no topic is off limits.
Let's talk
from
about
my standpoint. So
Heritage Valley.
Okay.
Is there any recourse for commissioners or town councilors? Is there any recourse to say, hang on a second, or is that ship sailed? You heard this morning, jobs just disappeared.
Yeah, the layoffs, unfortunately, no. By the time we get notified, get involved, there's not much we can do. I mean, there are times when there's been manufacturing locations and other things where we've been aware, and we try and intervene, and we try and get state resources and federal resources and things to try and mitigate the impact of those layoffs or closings and stuff. But usually, I mean, when the corporate decision is made on these kinds of things, in this case, I'm sure the board of Heritage Valley's looking at their options and felt this was the best option they had to continue to be financially viable in a very, very tough. I mean, we all know how crazy the healthcare industry is right now, how difficult it is. I don't remember all the details, but Pittsburgh Business Times just had an article on the profit and losses of everybody that's in the healthcare business. Obviously, Heritage Valley's on that list as well. So
the caregivers are losing money. The insurance companies are making money.
Absolutely, they've got the upper hand in most of this. Them and the pharmacies. So it's and the pharmacies that happen to own healthcare providers.
It's weird how that works.
Have a double dip chance of being more profitable.
Talk about consolidation. You haven't gone through it in the medical field, but you worked in the industry for a long time.
Sure.
I'm sure you've seen companies, it's a partnership and it's a consolidation.
Yeah.
Ballpark figure, percentage-wise, how often did those benefit both sides in a consolidation?
There's always some benefit to both sides. Okay. But usually one side has a little bit of the upper hand in those things. I just saw an announcement that Premier Bank and WesBanco are coming together. That looks like maybe WesBanco has the upper hand in that merger, but there's a lot of branches around there. There's a lot of people in the banking industry. I don't know the fallout from that. I haven't been able to explore it with some of my friends at WesBanco. And full disclosure, we have a WesBanco account.
Okay.
our my wife and I. So, it piques my interest when I hear those kinds of things, not to mention that from my chamber days and everything else, WesBanco has been a significant part of the community and active in business development. And they have some great people, some great branch managers. But I don't know what the outcome of that's going to be. With things like this, I mean, clearly in here, Heritage Valley's been in the middle of a big tug of war between AHN and UPMC.
Is Heritage Valley danged if they do and danged if they don't?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I'll tell you this. I have great faith in Norm Mitry. I think Norm has been great for Beaver County.
Norm is sharp.
An exemplar leader. They've been our largest employer for as long as I can remember. Heritage Valley and all of their locations and system stuff. They've been great community members. Have been always engaged with all kinds of activities.
They've been wonderful.
Yeah, from
Absolutely.
the community college on down to downtown development. I mean, they've been terrific. So I'm sure they're looking, as I think Norm's comments were, they're looking at every option to make sure that they stay viable and are providing health care. And again, full disclosure, my primary care physician is in the Heritage Valley Health System.
Is them.
Now, my cardiologist, oddly enough, that I've had for 20 years since I moved up here, was in Heritage Valley, but he moved over to Highmark, to AHN.
Does that bother you, or does that concern you as a patient?
No, because there's still collaboration and cooperation, right? I'm getting my cholesterol count and blood check in the Heritage Valley system. They're sending it to Dr. Lally and AHN, and there's still good coordination and collaboration and cooperation back and forth. My healthcare insurance covers both entities, so there's no, who's going to pay or who gets charged more kind of thing. And I think as long as that remains for the residents and stuff, that they can take advantage of wherever the person that they trust to check their health and their family's health and stuff, then I think we'll be okay.
I can't help but notice you didn't need a cardiologist till you moved to Beaver County.
Well, that was only because I had turned an age where my sister, who was an RN, said, "Hey, given our family history," and again, I've been very open about this. My dad had his first heart attack at 57. His second, it killed him at 62. My grandfather died of heart disease at 68. So with that family history, it was something I was reaching an age where my sister said, find a good cardiologist and stay on top of your heart health, which I have, and I've been very grateful for.
Jack Manning is my guest, Commissioner Jack Manning. It's Ask the Commissioner, 724-843-1888 if you'd like to pose a question. You and I were talking off air before this started, and I had no idea, and you explained it to me. How is Beaver County connected, involved in the Butler assassination attempt? Because I've seen the words Beaver County come up in a couple of stories. Yeah. And it's like, well, wait, how? What? Can you walk me through? I guess it's chain of command.
Yeah, I'm more than a couple of stories.
Yeah.
First of all, our emergency service unit has a lot of county employees in it. It's under our district attorney, the actual oversight of it, but obviously. The county commissioners support that group. We're part of a total emergency management system that works closely with ESU. I get text messages when they're called out for different incidents and those kinds of things. Occasionally I've shown up and watched the chain of command and do some stuff. I know that our group is well-trained, well-equipped, and well-led. I'm not going to allow anything like that to be anything different to that.
No, an outsider is not going to be allowed to paint a negative picture of what you know from the inside.
Right. Okay. And there was a lot of finger pointing there, and I'm just repeating what is now public record, because. We had a whole half-morning session with a congressional investigation group, a Senate group that came out, a bipartisan Senate group that came and met with all of our folks. Obviously, they've now sat down with the press and tried to give our detailed version of what we were tasked with and what we did and what we accomplished. And we're reluctant to throw anybody under the bus, and we haven't tried to do that, and they haven't tried to do that. But that group, I think, even though there was a loss of life and people were hurt, and they feel like they failed, collectively they failed. Somebody got hurt, somebody died, and you can't feel good about that.
No.
But I do feel good about the extraordinary effort that our folks put in being fourth in command in this whole process.
Fourth.
Well, Secret Service is definitely number one.
Right.
You had the state police there, which also is number two. And then you had the Butler ESU unit, which is number three. And then the Butler ESU needed more people, and they reached out to us, and we sent additional people to help complement their thing. So they're not in charge by any means, and they're being assigned different stations, different positions, different activities.
They're not deciding, they're being told.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Jack Manning, Commissioner, is my guest. If you've got a question, you can call. Jack, if you listen in those headphones, you can hear the call, or I can just repeat it. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Fred.
Hi, Fred. I appreciate you waiting. What's your question for Commissioner Manning?
Tell you what, it's not a question, just a quick comment. But I just want to thank the commissioner for being on the air. There's just not. I don't know of any other group of public servants that offers to come. I think what Eddie, you do this like monthly or weekly? I forget what it is.
Once a month. But, one Thursday. One Thursday a month. Yep.
It's like you're saying, look, here I am. We're not hiding anything. You got a question, go ahead and do it, and go ahead and ask it. So that's all I wanted to do. Just say thank you today, and I'll hang up. Okay.
Fred, I very much appreciate it, and I fall in the same boat as Fred. When I look up and I see you walking down the hall, the first thing I think, Jack, is, oh, it's an hour of something other than screaming. God bless you, citizen. Let's see if the other call. Now, see, that call was positive.
Okay.
But by odds, this call, somebody's going to be wound up.
Right.
Hi, what is your name?
Hi, how you doing, Eddie?
Georgie, how are you? What's your question
Good,
for
my
Jack?
friend. Good, my friend. How you, Jack? How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for the call.
Good. Question, okay? All you senior citizens out there, get close to the telephone or to the radio.
I already am.
Jack, I want to know, Jack, how the people in Philadelphia, that is Pennsylvania, that are senior citizens that own property, why they get a property tax freeze. And what I mean by that when you retire at the age 65, your property tax will then be, you won't be paying any more money. In other words, if you have, say your property tax is $10,000 total, with this freeze, you don't pay any more money. And I called our local legislators. They can't give me an answer. I called another legislator, and they told me what you got to do. This is legislatures in Philadelphia. They said it's up to your county commissioners to institute this. Now, do you have anything about this? Because I called Dan Camp's office probably about 8 or 9 days ago and never got a reply from anybody. Can you give me that answer, sir? Because I really appreciate it. And I'm sure other senior citizens out there would appreciate the same thing. And I'll sit back and I'll listen, okay?
Georgie, I appreciate you calling.
No, thanks for the call. As a 72-year-old, I'm close to the radio, so I'm listening as well.
You're leaning in.
This is an issue that I've brought up before. Philadelphia is a first-class county, and there are different state statutes that apply to what Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Allegheny County can do.
And it was their city council, I believe.
So it must have been something under the purview in the existing law, in the existing charter of a first-class incorporated county, Philadelphia County, and Philadelphia to be able to do that.
How do we become a first-class county?
We have to grow our population by about 10 times.
Okay.
It's all based on population. So we're a fourth-class county. We're about the 20th or 21st largest county out of 67, right? It goes down to, I think, sixth class or I forget where it ends, but some of these small counties have only 20,000 people in them, right? Some of the real rural ones there. So they have different things that they can do and enact. I'm very sensitive to this, especially during the reassessment. And I think there could be, particularly when it comes to the school taxes, where you have people that are over 65.
Ain't got kids in school.
Don't have kids, probably not even grandkids. Maybe everybody moved away, but they're still obviously supporting the school systems. I think I've used this statistic before. About 26% of our total households send somebody to K through 12 school,
That's
right?
it.
So the other 74% of the households are still paying for the schools, and there's benefit for everybody to pay for those schools. I'm not suggesting that we upset that, but with our aging demographic, a disproportionate share of elderly are supporting those schools when they've long paid, and sent their kids through school and stuff. So I think some sort of relief ought to be out there. I will look in to see exactly. I wasn't aware that Philadelphia did this. I'm not always aware of everything that happens.
I try to ignore Philadelphia as much as I can, honestly.
Well, I grew up across the river from it. Years ago, and
it's not your fault.
But there are these nuances. I don't know if that's something we could enact or would enact, because to do that because of our median age being 45 and having that dependency ratio that I talked about before that's in the 70% range, meaning that there's a lot more elderly people than there are working age people, non-working age people versus working age. What that would do in undermining our tax base and our ability to operate all the benefits, all the services, a lot of services which go to our elderly population, Office of Aging, those kinds of things. So I don't know what the total puts and takes would be for something like that, but I'm certainly sensitive to that, and I wish there was a way that we could kind of cap for some folks. The worst case scenario for me is someone that got their new tax bills and they're in their 70s or 80s and they have to sell their house because they can't afford to pay their taxes. And it's not the county taxes, which so much as it's really the school districts and the school taxes.
Jack Manning, County Commissioner, is my guest. Your questions for him, post online. This is being fed live on our Facebook page. Or you can call like Georgie Porgy did, 724-843-1888. Conversation continues after the news with Curtis Walsh on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
The warm weather is back, and that can only mean one thing. Pirates baseball for a 76th season is on Beaver County Radio. Make sure you set your radio dial to WBVP and 99.3 FM. Pirate baseball is being presented locally by the St. Barnabas Health System, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Keystone Wellness Program, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, the Beaver Falls Municipal Authority, Patriot Home Care, Town Square Restaurant, and Beaver County Radio.
There's exciting news. A new pharmacy in New Brighton just opened, Forward RX. It's an independent community pharmacy that fills prescriptions at transparent cost-plus pricing on many generic medications. No insurance or discount coupons needed. Brandon Anthonopoulos will discuss your needs and how Forward RX can help you save money. The pharmacy experience you deserve is more affordable than you think. Become a Forward member today. Stop in 809 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check their prices at FWDRX.com.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMVA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning on this Thursday, August the 1st of 2024. We can expect a sunny and hot day today. Partly sunny skies all day long, high in 92 degrees. There is a chance we'll see some rain showers rolling in this evening going into the night whenever we go down to a low of 72. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. An organizational downsizing took place yesterday among the Heritage Valley Health System. Numerous employees were let go and multiple branches of the system are shutting down or have already closed. It is unclear how many employees were terminated. Beaver County Radio obtained a letter that was sent to employees Wednesday. That letter stated that the workforce reduction was given careful consideration and the affected employees were provided a severance package. The letter goes on to say that while such decisions are painful for all of us, they are unfortunately avoidable in order to preserve the future viability of the health system. Locations that were closed as part of the reorganization are a pediatric facility in Calcutta, Ohio, an MRI facility in Robinson Township, and the business care in Center Township is set to close on September 30th. Heritage Valley cites operational and financial challenges as the cause of the downsizing, and President and CEO Norm Mitry told Beaver County Radio that the system is exploring all of their options when asked about the possibility of a merger with another health system. The borough of Monaca is warning residents that they may not have water for most of the day today. Water is being shut off in the downtown area due to water line upgrades. The shutoffs are taking place on 9th Street from Indiana to Washington Street and on Washington Street from 9th Street to 11th Street. The borough has not stated how long the shutoff will last, but residents are told to expect not to have water throughout the day. PennDOT has announced bridge inspection activities taking place on I-376 near Roslyn Farms. That work is going to take place over the weekend. Bridge inspection will require a single-lane restriction on the Parkway West, and they will be as follows. On Saturday morning, it'll be the eastbound side near the Roslyn Farms on-ramp, and on Sunday morning, westbound I-376 at the Roslyn Farms exit 64B. Former leaders of the now-defunct Penn State fraternity, where pledged Timothy Piazza fell and later died after consuming a large amount of alcohol 7 years ago, await sentencing after pleading guilty to misdemeanors. Brendan Young and Daniel Casey both pled guilty to hazing and reckless endangerment Tuesday during a proceeding via video streaming in Center County Court. Sentencing is planned for October. Young and Casey both pled guilty to 14 counts of hazing and a single count of reckless endangerment regarding Piazza. Piazza was a 19-year-old engineering student from Lebanon, New Jersey. Security camera footage documented his excruciating final hours. And a group of nearly 70 people allege they were sexually abused as children while housed in detention centers in Pennsylvania. The plaintiffs filed suit in state or federal court Wednesday against 10 different juvenile facilities across Pennsylvania, 3 of them state-operated. Some of the plaintiffs said they were repeatedly raped by staff members and threatened with harm if they reported it. Others said their reports of sexual abuse were ignored. Their lawyers say none of the facilities protected the children in their care. The litigation adds to earlier lawsuits targeting what the accusers' lawyers say is Pennsylvania's broken juvenile justice system.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
It's going to be hot, humid with lots of sunshine today. We'll see a high near 90. Mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms tonight. We'll drop down to a low around 70. Cloudy with showers and thunderstorms expected off and on through the day tomorrow. Look for a high near 85 and an overnight low of 68. Saturday we'll have rain and possible thunderstorms throughout most of the day into the evening. It'll be a bit cooler with a high near 82 and a low in the mid-60s. And lots of sunshine in the forecast for Sunday. Look for a high near 88. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Thursday, August the 1st of 2024, at 35 minutes past 9, we've got a temperature of 79 degrees with sunny skies in Beaver County. That's news. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
It is, in fact, better than that. It's Ask the Commissioners. Commissioner Jack Manning sitting in here with me, and people are calling and asking questions. You can call and ask your question. You can post your question on the live Facebook feed, which is going on. Beaver County Radio's the Facebook. Thought that would be implied. Jack, I saw something that I don't remember seeing. Before the news, I saw you do something, or during the news, actually. Georgie Porgy called and asked about freezing taxes, and Philly did it. And during the news, you sat there and you were making notes, and you're going to go and find that stuff out, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'll talk to our solicitor, but also the folks in the assessment office and understand what the parameters are for doing something like that. And I'll research and find out how Philadelphia did that. And as I said before, it could be something just in the state code where fourth-class counties can't do exactly what Philadelphia did, but there may be something we could do. Again, I know we've collectively brought that up in the past over our concern with the reassessment.
You just led me perfectly to my next question. Why are the rules different based on the population of your county? Why is it possible that Philly can do something, or Montgomery County, whatever, and Beaver County can't? Is there anything that Beaver County's allowed to do that Philly wouldn't be allowed to do?
Well, I think there's some basics, but there's different forms of government in those. I mean, things like, we looked into, during the pandemic, a health department. Found out that you can't have a standalone health department unless you're a third-class county or higher, or you collaborate with multiple entities around you. Like, we could have gone with Butler and Lawrence or Washington and ourselves and stuff for a health department, because that's the way the code's written, that's the way the law's written on how to govern a health department.
You understand this way better than me. How difficult is it to change code?
Well, pretty difficult.
Why?
I mean,
Why?
First of all, it's difficult to get any law passed in Harrisburg these days.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we tried to get voting election reform stuff in and voting and be able to pre-canvass and all those kinds of things. We've been lobbying collectively as the County Commissioner Association about that ever since the act was passed that allowed.
What's the response? What's the response? Do you even get a response?
Yeah, we do. It's mixed, and usually we get, well, it's difficult. There's a lot of horse trading going on, and it's kind of a split government there. The Senate is controlled by the Republicans. Democrats have a 1-vote lead, in the House, and we get all this, quite frankly, BS on excuses on why they can't do it. The fact of the matter is, no one wants to do anything in Harrisburg when it comes to these sensitive issues because they're afraid it's going to lose them votes.
What's a sensitive issue about people not getting overtaxed when they're not getting anything back from what they're getting taxed for? In this case, school tax or homeowners, any tax.
Well. The dots that connect between the school taxes and stuff go to the underfunding of different schools, right?
Okay.
The poor schools continue to be poor. The more wealthier schools continue to stay wealthy, and there's this political tug of war about wealthy schools supporting non-wealthy schools and school districts and all that stuff. So we get into these tug of wars about, who's going to support and stuff. I mean, they did increase, given the Supreme Court ruling that said that the poor school districts are not being given the equal treatment under the law and the Constitution for public education.
That was the PA,
right?
Supreme Court.
No, that's what I mean. The PA
okay.
Supreme Court. And they're still dithering over how to make that happen. With this last budget, they did increase the overall spending, tapping into, I assume, not the rainy day fund, but the surplus that's there with excess money from the government, Build Back Better, ARPA, and stuff.
It's billions.
It's 10 to 12 billion.
I remember it's 11 billion.
It's up there. I don't know if anybody knows the exact figure, but they finally tapped into it to kind of mollify that, but they still haven't come up with a solution of how to have equitable education across all of the school districts that are there. And you can make an argument that 500 school districts is probably too many for the Commonwealth. I certainly think 14 school districts is too many for Beaver County. But, that's what we have, and that's what we're stuck with. And we've got to do this. And each of those independent school boards all have the ability to control their cost, their operations, and therefore influence what those school taxes are when they go out.
What argument is put against what you just said when you say there are too many? 14?
Beaver County, yeah.
Yeah, okay. When you tell people
charters and other things in there, it's maybe
there are
15.
too many school districts. Mm-hmm. What's the pushback from that? What's stopping consolidation from happening, at least the line on the map?
Well, that comes back to finances as well. And I've never thought necessarily mergers were the answer for everybody. But leveraging best practices can be done further. But here's the problem. To give you an example, which some of my superintendent friends have talked about in the past, the biggest drawback to mergers is school debt. So you could make
okay. So if you and I are we're gonna consolidate.
I'm in a school district with low debt. Mm-hmm. You're in one that's a neighboring one with high debt. I do not want to be responsible for the total debt of those two when my debt is low and my taxes are low as a result of that. Your taxes are higher because of that. So that's the big drawback. It's a big drawback with a lot of consolidation that probably could or should happen with either pension plans mm-hmm. or debt that's owed out there. I mean, there are districts, neighboring districts, that it makes sense that these smaller ones that are kind of on that unsustainable path could merge with somebody else. But the way to get around that is you don't have to necessarily dissolve that school board or absorb the total debt. You just do it on a tuition basis, just like they do when you send your kid to PA Cyber or Lincoln Park. You pay what you're paying there to those entities to get that cost. If you're in Rochester or Western Beaver or someplace, you simply pay what you're paying in taxes. I mean, to me, I've always felt that a model in which when your child reaches 9 to 12, they ought to be able to go to whatever school offers them the best career path for success in life. And as a parent, I think that's what anybody wants. Where do we send our kid that has the best? So you have a K through 8 system, still have school boards, still have people, with input. Nobody wants to send their 5-year-old kid or fifth grader on a bus for 2 hours getting all over the county and have only 4 or 5 school districts. I get that. I wouldn't want that for my grandson or my granddaughter as well. But when you reach that age of 9 through 12, where you're really starting to decide what you want to do with life and how you're going to be best prepared for that, some of these smaller school districts aren't giving, I think, an equitable opportunity compared to larger districts. If you have a kid with special needs, or you have a kid that wants to do a specific line of work, or wants to take a specific language skill or whatever, and your smaller school district can't do that and can't find a neighboring school in which you can kind of leverage those resources, right? A Russian teacher, a German teacher, a Chinese, different things that some kids may want to specialize in for some reason, or math, or healthcare, or engineering, or STEM, or the trades. I mean, there's a bunch of different career paths there. And I think your zip code should determine what kind of education your kid's going to have.
You're right, but it does, just like it determines
there's ways to get around that, but there's no will to make some of that happen.
724-843-1888. It's Ask the Commissioners. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Eddie. This is Georgie Porgy again.
Did you think of a question?
Yes, I did.
I knew you would. What's your question?
Okay. Hey, Jack. We have 14 school districts, you're saying, correct?
Yeah, I think 14 or 15. I lost track.
Okay,
Too many.
Whatever the number is. Okay. My question is, how many superintendents is in each one of these school districts? Is there 14 or 15, like you're saying?
Yes.
Superintendents?
Oh,
there is?
Yeah.
I can't hear you, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Each of those school districts have a superintendent. They have a school board. They have a purchasing agent. They have a business manager, and the like. Yeah.
Well, my question is, why couldn't these superintendents, since there's only 14 or 15 districts, why couldn't they narrow this down to maybe like 2 or 3 superintendents that can govern along with the school board members, and then try to get things ironed out? That would save a lot of money for taxpayers, because these superintendents, they're making big bucks. Do you ever see their salaries? My God, it's unbelievable.
They all do better than me. I know that. Yes.
Georgie, I can
better than all of us.
I can think of 2 answers to that, but I want to hear Jack answer that first.
Okay, I'll listen to you guys.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, it comes back to local control and the way the state, the Commonwealth is. It's local municipal control, local school board control. So you're never going to have a school board. We already went through this. Actually, with the prior Blackhawk board, in which they did share a superintendent, Western Beaver and Blackhawk.
Right.
And I thought he did an excellent job, but we had some school board members come in, take over that board a little while ago, several years ago, ended up terminating their contract with them and then going out and hiring their own superintendent again. So at one point we were having one superintendent that was leveraging across a couple of school districts, which made all the sense in the world to me. But as soon as you have the turnover in those school boards and they come in with a different agenda,
we want this guy.
Absolutely. And by the way, I've worked with every single one of our superintendents. They are all individually and collectively first-rate people. Every single one of them I've worked with, I've had interactions with, but they're between a rock and a hard spot. It's kind of like a borough manager or township manager, right? Trying to run your borough, trying to run your township, and you're caught between a rock and a hard spot sometimes between council and the mayor and all of these different entities that are screaming at you. And being able to survive in that system, you gotta walk a narrow path sometimes. And when you find a good borough manager, a township manager,
dear goodness, hang on to them.
Hang on to them. Please don't do anything stupid to force them out. And it's the same way I believe with superintendents. Every single superintendent I've met here, I admire, I appreciate them greatly from the small school districts to the larger ones. They do an exceptional job under difficult circumstances because you got the public screaming at you. You've got parents of students screaming at you, and you got the board scrutinizing every move that you make, as they should do. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that things are done right. But it's a tough path for some of those folks.
I don't think the kids are screaming at you. They're all on their phones.
Well, that's a whole other story. I don't think we have time to get into.
Yeah.
Although I am enamored with some of these schools now that are mandating that the phones be locked up.
Big school corporations across the country are passing that rule.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. I
think
because of the influence and the distraction, and it's clear that our educational output has declined post-COVID for a lot of reasons, but social media and having the smartphones, I think, has helped deteriorate some of our educational process.
How much more difficult do you think it is to be a teacher now than it was when you were in front of teachers?
Yeah, I think it's much more challenging, especially if you go back to, I'm somebody who was raised in the 50s and 60s and stuff, and teachers had a level of respect and authority and set boundaries that not only the students adhered to, but the parents recognized and adhered to.
The parents were on the teacher's side?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now you see, I don't know, just behaviors that are a lot different than they were going back 20, 30, 40 years ago. Yeah.
What was your favorite distraction in school? Were you a paper football guy? Did you pass notes? Rubik's Cube wasn't around for you in school yet.
No,
I caught the tail
end. A lot
end.
of the widget stuff, none of that.
No paper football?
We did paper football. I mean, the big thing in some of the more boring classes is we would have NFL drafts. And we would draft from different things, and we'd form a team, and we'd be passing notes back and forth. I just drafted Fran Tarkington for the Vikings to be my quarterback, and Jack Ham's going to be my line. We did all this kind of stuff
to pass the time.
Just to pass the time. Yeah.
Jack Manning, County Commissioner, is my guest. Are you more or less or the same in terms of the faith put towards Harrisburg? Do you believe in our current political system more or less? You've been in it a while, but you came from the outside, so there's a different perspective.
Yeah, I tend to be an optimist. I think people know I've always been kind of a no labels guy, which is my country and my community comes before my party, and I still believe a plurality of folks believe that. I still believe a plurality of voters believe that they're just not going to align with a party, but there are stronger pulls, and it's a larger percentage that are locked into the extremes than I've ever seen before. But there's still a middle lane where 40% of us live that are independent thinking and think what is best for the state, what's best for the Commonwealth, what's best for our community, and they make decisions based on that, not where their party may be aligning to pull the country apart. And I want to believe that. I believe that. The people that mentored me in politics were that way. I still remember, I worked for the Huntsman family for a long time. And John Huntsman Jr., two-term governor of Utah, he was ambassador to China under Obama, and he was ambassador to Russia under Trump. And there's a guy that I learned a long time ago, when your country calls, you answer. And it doesn't matter who the political party was in control. If you're the best person to actually do something about what they're asking you to do. And in that case, the man was fluent in Mandarin, could write Chinese.
That whittles down the list of resumes quick, doesn't it?
He worked in the Pacific Rim. There was no one better to serve as ambassador to China, one of our biggest adversaries that John Huntsman Jr. was. And he served admirably. Then he left that, and his company, the family company, we had done business in Europe and Russia in the early days of the 80s and Aeroflot and all that stuff. So
the airline.
So when the Trump administration called and said, hey, we need an ambassador to Russia, he said, my country's calling? Yes, I believe I'm the best person to do that. And he served there for a while in Trump's first term. So that's my philosophy as well. When your country calls, when your community calls, and they want something, I'm not looking at political affiliation and how that. Every decision may have some political ramifications to it, but I just don't believe the elected officials we should make political-based decisions on what a party wants us or thinks we should do, especially if it's not what I think is the right thing to do collectively for folks. So I still believe most of Harrisburg is that way. I really do. And I've seen it, by the way, in our own state reps, the collaboration between Rob Matzey and Jim Marshall and Josh Kale and Elder Vogel and Cameron Bartolotta, who still has a little bit there. They will work across boundaries. Elder Vogel just passed a bill, and there's a picture of he and Shapiro there.
Yep.
Dealing with farms and rural health care, telemedicine stuff. It was all important stuff, going back to our original conversation about Heritage Valley. I mean, that the rural communities being able to have telemedicine is the only way some of them are going to be able to get medical advice.
And that drags in infrastructure with things like internet.
Yeah, and that was a bipartisan effort, as the broadband was. There was a nice article recently about Beaver County from the Communication Workers of America touting how well we did our role in getting broadband implemented and the work that we've done.
Number 2 in the country.
Absolutely, and that was a bipartisan effort. It wasn't a political tug of war. Well, are we giving enough jobs here? Are we doing something here? Those kinds of things, I believe, which is the core work that we do, need to be made in a bipartisan effort. And I want to have faith, because I am the eternal optimist when it comes to this stuff, that Harrisburg will get their act together and be able to do the right thing when needed.
Ask the commissioners with Jack Manning. It's always wonderful. Here's your last question. Favorite Olympic event?
Oh, man.
Are you a Summer Olympics or a Winter Olympics, or you don't care?
I'm both.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was on top of everything. The Summer Olympics were always big. I came from a high school in New Jersey that had some great track and field athletes.
Okay.
Carl Lewis ran in our track back in the day, and I've always followed that. One of a guy that I actually coached Little League Baseball, and he got the bronze medal in the hurdles, Jack Pierce, at Barcelona and stuff. So I've always been a big track and field guy. I've always liked the sprints and the hurdles, just because of, I think, that affiliation with Jack Pierce and stuff. And that track and field really hasn't heated up yet, but I've been in tune with the swimming. The gymnastics was great. Oh my God, what Biles is doing and
just
stuff.
Whipped everybody's butt more.
And Ledecky in the swimming. Just all of it. I'm in such awe of people with that kind of dedication and talent. That I really get into everything.
All right. I take it back. One more question, yes or no answer. Would you swim in that river they had the triathletes swimming in?
I'm not going in the Ohio River, the Beaver River, or the Seine.
So no trip to the Seine?
Nope, not me.
Jack Manning, County Commissioner, thank you, sir. As always, it's been wonderful. Very much appreciated. Like Georgie said, most people in your position or similar position don't take the time to do this.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege to be here.
It's absolutely an honor to have you on Teleforum.
The place for news, sports, and entertainment. You're listening